Last week and this week, our first reading is from the book of the prophet Amos. And I think it would behoove us to have a little background about who Amos is and why he's writing. Amos lived when there were two separate kingdoms of Israelites. The northern kingdom, named Israel, and a southern kingdom named Judah. He was born in the southern kingdom and worked as a shepherd and a tree trimmer. But God called him to preach to the northern kingdom. Amos was not an official prophet of the king's court, so he was free to speak against the king and the court and to be brutally honest in delivering God's message. Among the Old Testament prophecies, Amos are the least hopeful. Amos stresses that Israel's destruction, complete and total, is certain. He condemns Israel for its failure to be faithful to the covenant. But he has a special anger toward the king, the priest, and the wealthy class. He accuses them of being hypocrites who lead the people of Israel astray while pretending to be faithful themselves. What was Amos' evidence? First, the covenant demanded special care for the poor, the outcast, and the marginalized. The king, the wealthy, and some of the priests were ignoring this demand. Instead of caring for the poor and the lowly, the wealthy were cheating them and treating them unjustly. Second, with monies they cheated out of the poor, the ruling class and the wealthy staged lavish ceremonies to God that were modeled on ceremonies honoring foreign gods. They went through the motions of worshiping God, but they ignored the demand to care for their neighbor. For Amos, this was the heart of Israel's hypocrisy, its sinful habit of separating its religious rituals from concern for its citizens. This phoniness was repulsive to God, and because of Israel's sin, God brought it to destruction. Amos is rightly called the prophet of the Lord of justice. So Amos has nothing to do in terms of being a prophet until God calls him out of his ordinary life to prophesy against the northern kingdom of Israel. And basically he attacks the king, the priests, and the wealthy because they are treating the poor unjustly and using the monies that they extort from the poor to have lavish religious ceremonies. So basically, they go to synagogue, they go to temple, and they have all these ceremonies where they pray and they offer God their tithes, and then they go out and mistreat people. And Amos says, you're a bunch of hypocrites. It kind of fits the parable in today's gospel. The parable of the rich man and Lazarus, the poor man. There's only one piece we need to add to make it complete in terms of fitting Amos. So the rich guy gets up every day. It says he dresses in purple, which was a color mainly for the rich. It took a lot of wealth in order to get the materials to make the purple dye and then dye the cloth purple. So usually if you saw purple, you're rich. And then purple, fine linens, and dined sumptuously. So day in and day out, this guy would cross the path of Lazarus, dying at his gate because of hunger. As Lazarus laid there, open sores, dogs would feed. So here's this rich man in and out every day, crossing the path of Lazarus. Then it comes to the Sabbath day. So the rich man crosses the path of Lazarus and goes to worship. And he prays, and he says, oh God, thank you for the blessings you give me. Here's my tithe, let me offer more prayers. And then they're going to go home and eat a nice meal, and he does, and he crosses the path of Lazarus, dying. And he has this wonderful dinner. And he doesn't see that that's hypocrisy. He doesn't see that there's a connection, or should be a connection, between his prayer life in the temple and what was on the side. How you doing? You okay? Oh, you didn't even say hi to me. How awesome. I was at a meeting this week, and at that meeting was a youth minister. And what they do for youth group is they read the gospel for the upcoming Sunday, and they discuss it. And she shared with us that a lot of the kids were saying, why should we bother going to college? Why should we bother getting good jobs? It seems every time we read the Bible, if you're wealthy, it's sinful. And she said, no, that's not what it's saying. What it's saying is, what are you doing with your wealth? Are you helping the poor, helping those in need, or not? And that's where it comes in. And so as we talked about it, it's like, well, it's not just your material wealth either. It's whatever gifts God has given you. And when we leave this place, whatever we have is a gift from God. We're called to share it. So when we come here on Sunday mornings, whatever's going on in the world, you bring here. If you have concerns about your family, you bring them here. If you have concerns about justice and peace in the world, you bring them here. If you have desires to grow in holiness, you bring them here. But then whatever you experience here, we are called to bring out into the world with us when we leave, to affect all the people that we encounter out in the world. And so basically, Amos and the gospel are just saying, look, if you're going to have this God thing going on, have it going on all the time, everywhere, with everybody. In that CMA video, that little boy was so precious. God is in everyone. And when you help someone out, you're helping God. And then God fills your heart with love. That's the bottom line. That's it in a nutshell. So maybe we can be inspired today. Take a good look when you leave here, wherever you go, whoever you meet. Do you have some time to give to them, to help them in their poverty? Do you have some talent to help them in their poverty? Do you have financial resources to help them in their poverty? Do you have love to share with them, to help them in their poverty? Let's see what God asks us to do today through the book.